Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to my channel and welcome back. So, I thought today I would stick with the theme of the new year and everybody wanting to make changes and to upgrade our lives and make positive changes to our behavior and our habits and our routines. And I would discuss that and the best way to go about that, but to look at it through a neuroscience lens. And the best way through a neuroscience lens to make changes that are going to be consistent and will become new behavioral patterns and will become something that are long-term and subconscious changes is by harnessing our brain's ability to facilitate neuroplastic changes and our ability to, and our brain's functional ability for neuroplasticity. Okay. And if you don't know what neuroplasticity is, it is our brain's method and potential to rewire itself through there's seven basic skills that you can really adapt and incorporate into your life that make this a lot easier. Babies do it naturally, and young children do it naturally all the time. But as adults, we can do this as well. We just have to be able to follow the processes necessary to enable these changes and to help make these changes more robust and to amplify our brain's ability to be neuroplastic. And what that is it changes our natural brain's pathways on a subconscious level. So if, like, for instance, let me give you an example. If we move our room around naturally, if the lights are off, you're going to go and you want to grab something out of your dresser, you're naturally going to go to where your dresser was and go to get something out of the dresser, okay? But if you keep continuously practicing going to the new place where your dresser is, then your brain is going to change that neural pathway over time and over repetition and through practice and consistency, and it's going to remember where the dresser now exists and where it now lives. And you will naturally, subconsciously, if the lights are off, go to the new place to get something out of your dresser. And that is an example of our brain behaving in a neuroplastic manner, and it changed the pathway and it changed its own memory of where your dresser is. And it did that on a subconscious level. And it did that through rewiring because of the habits and patterns that you incorporated into your life by continuously and consistently going to that new spot where the dresser is. The pathways and the neurons in your brain created new pathways, new memories, new habits, and voila, you have neuroplasticity and you have made a change to your own memory and your brain's ability to recognize where something is and to imagine it and picture it and know where you need to go if you need to get something out of your dresser, okay? Where before it was in a different place. So there's just a kind of a sketchy example, but an example of neuroplasticity so you can understand how it works. If you are a professional athlete or if you know a professional athlete, have a conversation with them about this and they'll tell you exactly what this is because they've been doing it their whole life, or an elite athlete even. They will imagine something over and over again and they will picture it, and that changes the neural pathways in the brain, and it will make the brain subconsciously remember routines, remember patterns, remember the skills necessary to perform a certain action because you've done it over and over and over again in your brain. And our brains are unable to differentiate between what we imagine and what we vividly picture over and over habitually, over and over again, between that and what it really sees and what it really experiences, okay? That is how strong our brain is, and that is something that will, and that practice is something that will amplify our brain's ability to be neuroplastic and to create these new pathways. So I'm going to give you 7 ways to create change using a neuroscience lens and by harnessing neuroplasticity to help you make these changes part of your subconscious, and changes that will be long lasting and consistent and continuous and subconscious. So they're not something that you have to constantly be aware of, and it'll make change a lot easier. Now, at the beginning, change is always difficult, but using the science of neuroplasticity, it will become subconscious and it will become autonomic. So you will do it automatically without even thinking, and the changes will become a lot easier, and they'll become part of your natural behavioral patterns as opposed to something you have to make a decision and put effort into to behave in that different and new manner. It will become a natural instinct and a natural behavioral pattern that you have changed neurologically. Okay, so let's get into it. So here we go. The first way is through repetition and consistency. So repeated actions and thoughts strengthen neural pathways. Okay, so start small and stay consistent, okay, with any repeated action or thought. For instance, going to the dresser where it's in the new location, consistently going there, okay? That changes your brain's neural pathway slowly and over time. Daily practice is key. So, meditation, if that's something that works for you, that's going to work. Affirmations, skill development, or just repetition on a daily basis. That's what's going to help you get there and help your brain rewire and make the change necessary for it to subconsciously form new pathways for that change to become automatic and something you don't even think about, something that's just a natural new change and a natural new, it's actually a new anatomical development in your brain. Like, this isn't imaginary. Your brain is actually restructured through neuroplasticity. So these neurons and these neural pathways are actually real anatomical changes that you've created and that you've built and made through these 7 exercises that we're discussing. So we already covered the first one, repetition and consistency. The second one is what I was talking to you about with athletes and elite athletes. It's visualization and mental rehearsal. So the brain responds to vivid mental imagery as if the event is real. It cannot tell the difference. If you can really imagine something, and that's where you see a lot of videos saying, be the person you want to be. If you visualize and you imagine yourself as that person, your brain doesn't know the difference whether you are that person or you're not that person. It's going to assume that you are, and it's going to create the pathways necessary for you to be what that assumption is, and for you to be that person that you are visualizing vividly and you are mentally rehearsing and practicing being in your brain, okay? So regularly visualize yourself achieving the goals and embodying the desired traits. So being the person you want to be the change, okay? Imagine that change. Imagine what it looks like, make it visual, make it elaborate, make it detailed, make it so it's as realistic in your brain as you can make it through imagination and through visualization. And your brain won't know the difference. It'll just start building the pathways to make that happen and make that exist, because that's your brain's new reality, okay? And this strengthens the same neural pathways as physical practice does. It will change your brain the same way you can build a muscle through consistent practice and stretching a muscle, and through putting pressure on that muscle, your brain changes in the same way and will develop what's necessary in order to make that change a reality, because in your subconscious, it knows that a change is already there, and it's going to do what's necessary to make that change something that can be consistent and can be subconscious and automatic without you having to put effort into it or think about it, okay? The third one is challenge and novelty. So new experiences force the brain to adapt and create fresh connections, okay? And that is how little children do this so easily. By everything they do is new. Every experience they encounter is new. And every time they encounter something new, their brain makes a new connection. And we can do this too, except we're so used to our same patterns of behavior, we don't often incorporate change and new experiences and into our day-to-day living. And we need to make an effort to do this. That's why I put a lot of emphasis on knowledge and expanding your knowledge base and learning and reading, studying things that you would never normally study. It forces your brain to practice making new connections. And the better and the more practice it gets, the better it gets at being able to do this, which will help you when you desire a particular change. Your brain is getting good at this, and it will make those physical changes and anatomical changes much quicker for you than if it's a new experience and your brain isn't used to experiencing new things and experiencing change and having to make these physical adaptations for it to be able to work for you in the best possible way. So learning new skills, engaging in complex tasks that drive plasticity and drive change in your brain. These are all ways to do this. So step outside your comfort zone and break old patterns, and that will stimulate growth and stimulate physical change in your brain that will help you to embark on new challenges, new experiences, and to create changes that will be long lasting, they will be permanent, and they will be consistent and automatic without you having to always put in the effort to make that decision for the change to occur. Okay? Mindfulness and awareness. So mindfulness, being aware of this, increases your awareness through thought and emotion, allowing you to interpret negative patterns. Okay. So this creates a space to consciously choose new responses, strengthening intentional pathways. So catching yourself when you're experiencing or feeling feelings or having feelings or thoughts of self-doubt and reframing that into confidence over time will automatically replace those thoughts of self-doubt into feelings of confidence. And the more often you do this, the more your brain will automatically, as soon as some self-doubt creeps in, it will automatically replace that thought with confidence and a feeling of empowerment and your ability to be able to do something. And that is just through exercise and stretching and exercising your brain and through consistent practice. Okay. So that is number 4. The 5th way is through physical exercise. So movement, especially aerobic exercise, enhances the brain's plasticity by releasing brain-derived neurotrophic factors. So sorry, I have a little one that's moving my table around. So what it's going to do is it's aerobic. So it is based on increasing oxygen and blood flow, and it helps to further develop and further increase your brain's ability to grow physically and change physically and make anatomical physical changes. It's like healing. It's like healing a wound, okay? But it's not a wound. It's just creating it's like creating a 6th finger, okay? It's going to take blood flow. It's going to take oxygen. It takes a lot of physical contributing factors to be able to change yourself physically, and that's what the brain is doing. This neuroplasticity isn't an imaginary exercise. This is a physical change of your brain and the way your brain is structured. Okay, so we do need to contribute physical ingredients into that for your brain to be able to restructure itself physically and to make these physical changes. Okay. Emotional engagement and reward. So emotionally charged experiences imprint stronger neural pathways. That's why there are scientists and researchers such as I believe his name is Joe Dispenza, who will talk about it takes consciousness and heart to be able to create change. Okay. Because emotion incorporated with intention and learning, it will make a stronger physical imprint. That is why you have flashbulb memories of things like a moment in time when something happened, because it struck you in an emotional way and you had an emotional response, as well as a new thought or understanding or concept. Like if somebody sadly passed away that you knew very closely, the moment you found out that happened, you felt it physically and emotionally, like you felt it in your heart, but you also recognize that that person's gone now, and your brain thought through that process of, now I've lost that special person in my life. And that moment that you noticed or were told, or you recognized that you had that loss, will be in your brain forever. It will never forget it. It will remember smells, it will remember tastes, it will remember what you were wearing, it will remember detail like no other, because emotion was attached to consciousness and intention at the same time. And it's the same with making change and with learning new things. If you can attach emotion to what you're learning and what you're consciously putting effort into and intention into, you are 150 million times more likely to remember the details, to subconsciously attach memory to that change, and it'll be automatic memory. It'll be memory, it'll be cellular memory, it will be long-term memory, and it will be detailed memory that you will not have to work towards holding on to. It's there. It'll be there because you've created a pathway, and you created it instantly by incorporating emotion with intention and a new experience, okay? So emotional engagement and reward. So celebrate small wins and emotionally invest in the process of growth. So again, try to attach emotion into your new learning and your new knowledge and your new behaviors and habits. And if you're able to do that, you are going to like by folds make this process 100 times easier and quicker and more effective. Okay, so that is a super duper important trick, and that is one I would say of the that's probably the most key factor in being able to become an expert in facilitating the process of neuroplasticity and changes in your neural pathways in your brain that will change your behaviors, change your patterns, change your thinking and your thought processes, and make change overall, okay? Changes that you'll see physically on the outside in your life that you created through changing the anatomical structures and the pathways of thought process in your brain. And number 7, the very last one, is to focus on one change at a time. The brain changes best when it's focusing on a single behavior or habit at one time. So overloading hinders progress. Once a habit sticks, build on it. So again, we've heard a lot of videos about habit stacking. This is where habit stacking comes in. Work on one thing at a time. If I want to make my bed every day, attach emotion to it. Attach intention and thought process. Make sure I do it every day, even if I'm late, even if I forget to do it right away, even if I forget to do it for one day. Get right back on the train, get right back on there and do it every day. Attach emotion to it. Really feel excitement once it's done, and attach a feeling of accomplishment and reward and value and personal accomplishment to it. And those emotions attached to, in combination with the intention that you had and the action that you completed and the routine that you are incorporating into your life, will make making your bed a new neural pathway and something that you do automatically without even thinking. Just like you wash your hands after you use the washroom without even thinking, because that's something that you did over and over again. And if you didn't do it as a child, you felt dirty and you felt disgusting. And you were taught that in order to be clean, that's something that you do. So you learn to do it. It is like, it's like another example. I'm trying to think of simple examples to make this simple. It's like buckling up your seatbelt. You will buckle up your seatbelt. Sometimes you'll get in the car and you could be doing something in your car and not even going to drive away, but you'll buckle up and you'll be like, why am I buckling up? I'm not even going anywhere. But it's because that neural pathway has been built. You've been taught. You did it by habit. It's attached to emotion, the fear of something terrible happening if you were to go driving without buckling up your seatbelt. So you automatically, without even thinking about it, buckle up your seatbelt when you get inside your car. And that is how neuroplasticity works. Okay, that's an excellent example. That's probably the best example I've ever thought of. And the key takeaways here is that neuroplasticity thrives on repetition, emotional engagement. So very important to attach emotion, guys. novelty and mindfulness. So, novelty being something new, so new experiences, new habits, new processes, new practices, new routines, okay? And mindfulness, being aware of it. The more intentional and consistent your actions, the faster and the more lasting and the more long term these changes are going to be, and the more formed and strong these new neural pathways will become, and making them a part of your life and a part of your new habits and your new lifestyle and the way you go about living every single day. And there is a way to create change in your life through a neuroscience perspective and lens. And it is science based and it works 100% of the time. And you can harness this, you can grow this skill and this talent and this ability, and it will change your life forever. It makes nothing out of reach. It makes everything possible, and it is one of the most valuable skills you can learn to master in your life. So, I hope this was helpful, and I hope you guys practice this. Leave me a comment, let me know if this works for you, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Take care and have a lovely day. Make changes.